We have some news right now. Donald Trump will be signing an executive order today that requires all commercial truck drivers in the United States to speak English, according to Breitbart and Caroline Levitt.
In other words, the trucking industry is in the process of completely collapsing because of the trade war. And, they want to make sure the people that do get to keep their jobs speak English. Yeah, that's exactly what this is. You see, this regulation already exists. You're already supposed to speak English. They stopped enforcing it.
Hey guys, welcome back again to my channel. It's so good to have you. Thank you so much for clicking when you saw this video. So I came across those videos on my FYP and I tend to share with you guys lots and lots of truck drivers are coming out to talk about the executive order which Trump is about to pass, and they talking about how every truck driver have to speak English. Like, you legit need to know how to speak English as a truck driver. No more Spanish today, another you're speaking one language or one language or the other, right? It has to be English, and they have to provide proficiency tests, okay, English proficiency tests, okay, to prove that they can speak English. Well, I'm just going to let these videos roll, then we come back and talk more. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments. Please go ahead and subscribe to my channel if you have not already, and don't forget to give the video a thumbs up so that more people can see it. And credit to all creators on this video. Let's go, then we come back with the commentary.
Couldn't believe it. Going through Arkansas, I thought it was a joke. Got stopped at the way station in Arkansas and was handed a piece of paper, and it says, "Can you read and write English?" I said, "Yes, sir, I sure can." He goes, "Can you read this?" So I read it to myself, and I was like, okay. I started handing it back. He goes, no, read it out loud for me. So I read it out loud for him, and it's short and sweet, no problem. He goes, "Now, can you write this for me on this paper?" And I did, and there was a whole bunch of people that had already written on it. And I was actually witnessing people in handcuffs that had been pulled in, and I was like, what's going on? He goes, "Oh, we've come across now that if you cannot read or write in English, that it's a $5,000 fine, and if you have a company in Arkansas that employs people that can't read or write in English, it's a $10,000 fine paid on the spot. If you cannot pay it, you're automatically arrested and lose your license." What a shocker.
In more ridiculous news coming out of the United States, Donald Trump has put out yet another racist executive order. This time, it's requiring that all truck drivers, all commercial truck drivers in the United States speak English. So, if you're going to drive a truck in the US, you now have to speak English. I'm not yet sure how this is going to be enforced. I'm still unclear as to why this is so important to him, other than in his continued pursuit of making English the only official language in the US, because that makes a lot of sense, right? I know many of us are not surprised by this anymore, but here we are.
90% of the truck drivers voted for Trump. Now they go to the ports and the piers and look for a load to carry, and they find out that half the fucking ships are empty and the other half are being diverted by China to other places. The only fucking thing you'll be hauling is Trump the fuck out of the White House back to Mar-a-Lago.
So there's still people who believe that this executive order might never work. You guys know that a lot of executive order has been passed and they've been running, they've been working, right? The mass deportation have worked. Like many other executive order which has been passed has been working, okay? And this person is talking about how it's going to affect a lot of people. I don't think a lot of people actually, the people passing this whole executive order, if they really care if it's going to affect people or not, because what they want is what they want, and they want to get exactly what they want, right? So coming on to say it's not going to happen or it might not happen, okay, just prediction anyway. So I don't think people actually understand exactly what these people are looking for and how important all of these executive orders are to the MAGAs and how they are passing their laws and how they want it to happen. So I don't know, okay, but from that man who talked about how he was giving a form to fill for English proficiency and all of that, meaning that even people who has picked it up already, okay, and it's going to happen, okay. But let's check out this video.
So here's the deal with the executive orders. I don't think they're going to work. And I'm not trying to be a pessimist here, but I really don't think that they'll work. And this is why. So we need to first look at, well, how in the world did we even get to the point of this executive order having to take place? Because here's the deal. This executive order is basically just reinstating a pre-existing law that was sort of taken out of effect, right? I mean, for a very, very long time, it was against the law federally to not be able to read, write, or speak English and be a truck driver in the United States of America, right? And previous administrations began to backpedal on that. Why did they do that? Because these corporate oligarch elitists who basically collectively own the majority of wealth and power in this country, and the central bankers above them who work hand in hand with them, they want cheap third world labor in the trucking industry because it does two things that massively benefit them. Number one is it keeps American truck drivers, American workers, poor, okay? This is a debt-based economy. That's very important to remember. In a debt-based economy, they need a handful of things to exist with us, the working class, in order for them to thrive and survive. They need us to be poor, they need us to stay in debt, and they cannot have us making enough money to start paying off debt and start actually owning assets. And I don't mean going and signing for a loan and possessing an asset that the bank owns. I mean actually physically paying off an asset and owning it. They can't have that. And if this executive order that Donald Trump has put into place actually begins to come to fruition, like people are saying it will, where he's given the DOT and the FMCSA 60 days to purge the industry of these guys. If there were, hypothetically, a deportation that took place where all of these guys were gone through with a fine-tooth comb, selected, and kicked out of the country, which could be done very easily, by the way, that's exactly what would happen. You see, we would start seeing the small companies begin to thrive again. We would see the owner-operators thriving again. We would see the employees of the small companies thriving again. And we would see the big guys going belly up. And that's because there's no more cheap labor. There's no more third world labor in the trucking industry. When you run into a situation like this, people start paying off debt, right? And you can't have that in a debt-based economy. They have to constantly keep us in debt and poor. They have to toe this very, very fine line of not having us too poor to where people get together and they begin to revolt. Because the reason people haven't done that yet is because they're not actually starving yet, right? We're broke. We're very, very, very broke, but we're not actually starving yet, right? We all talk about being broke, and we are, but we still have creature comforts. We still go eat fast food. We go eat sometimes. We are able to buy clothes most of the time. We're able to have Netflix and Hulu and all these different things. That doesn't mean we're not broke, but it means that we still have creature comforts, and that's exactly what they want. They want to toe that very, very fine line to where we're not broke enough to where we begin to get together and really realize what's going on and revolt, but to where we're broke enough to where we can't afford to actually get out of debt and pay debt off. That's the name of the game. So it would just begin to start this wave, this ripple effect across America where people are doing very well financially who previously weren't. They're paying debt off. They're beginning to actually own assets. And in a debt-based economy, that scares the central bankers to death. And beyond the corporate elitist oligarchs, that's the central bankers, right? It's literally the most powerful position you can be in. So that's how the chain of command works. The central bankers control these corporate elitist oligarchs. These corporate elitist oligarchs, they control what aspects of the government they can. They're the ones who got the government to backpedal to the point where we were at basically now, where they did away with that regulation, making it a requirement to be able to read, write, or speak English. And they flooded millions of these guys into the trucking industry to the point now where we have diluted the American workforce down to roughly 20%. So 20% of the overall pool of truck drivers in America are actually American. The other 80% are foreign drivers in this country, many of which cannot read, write, or speak English, many of which have zero experience driving a truck. They're given a 5-hour max crash course. And these are the guys you see pulling into truck stops who are getting out asking other people to back their truck into a spot for them because they don't know what they're doing. And then they get up in the morning and they leave the truck stop, rip somebody's hood off, they get on the road, and they barrel down the highway at 80 miles an hour at 80,000 pounds beside you and your family, right? And so when you have these foreigners over here The reason that it affects the economy, trucking wise, is because they're able to operate for a much lower cost, right? That's sort of what ties this all together. They're able to work for much lower rates. Again, this is third world labor. Americans cannot compete with third world labor. Just like average employees in America today, even outside of the trucking industry, cannot compete with sweatshop workers in China. Us American truck drivers cannot compete with third world labor in the trucking industry. They're able to do it for cheaper because they have less expenses. I mean, that's just the bottom of the line. I mean, I understand people will say, well, they're still having to buy fuel too, obviously. Yeah, but what they're doing is they're leasing trucks and trailers for pennies on the dollar from very shady leasing companies. They're constantly mismatching DOT numbers and MC numbers. They're not having to actually maintain a consistent operating authority like Americans are. A lot of them are not adhering to the insurance requirements required for cargo insurance and general liability and things like that. So they're saving in that aspect. And then also they ship these guys in on these HV1 visas from foreign countries. And these guys never have to go home. There's usually 2 or 3 of these guys in a truck. So they're team driving. They live in the truck for the entire 3-year stint that they're in America. And when their clocks run out, when their ELDs run out of time on their federally mandated clock, whether it be their 14-hour clock, their 11-hour clock, or their 70-hour clock, they've got dispatchers in Pakistan and Uganda and the Middle East who just reset their clock. You can't do that if you're an American-based company. It's highly illegal, and if you get audited, you're screwed. These guys don't care if they get audited because there's a really good chance by the time they do get audited, they're going to be out of business anyway, operating under a new authority, right? These guys are even like auctioning off DOT numbers and MC numbers, right? We've all seen the videos where they go through and they peel off one sticker that's got an MC and a DOT on it, and they put a new one on. That's why they're able to take such cheap freight, and they're able to undercut the American workers, and that's why these corporate elitist oligarchs and these central bankers love it. And again, it could happen. It could happen so easily. Like I said in the video this morning, these guys came in under their own willpower. They can leave under their own willpower. We don't care where you go. We're not going to tell you where you have to go, but you can't be here. You need to leave. You can't be driving commercial trucks in our country, not being able to read, write, or speak English, not having the proper documentation, not having a CDL that was administered through the American standards. You can't do it. It would be very easy. The Trump administration, had they begun this when Trump got inaugurated, they could have had it done within a month. So now we're being told once again that we need 2 more months past where we're at now. It's already been 3 or 4 months. It's just not going to happen. It's another scam campaign, and I really think that's the truth.
America, brace yourselves for what's coming. Obviously, if you don't know, I'm a truck driver. We are in a recession right now. Banks have announced a recession, right? And unfortunately, us as truck drivers, we've been feeling this. Some will tell you a year, 2 years, 3 years, but the public has not realized this until now, right? Now, what's going to happen is it's like deja vu all over again. Warehouses are running out of product. They have only so much, and the rest is going to be relied on other countries. Unfortunately, due to the tariffs, we don't have anything to rely on right now, right? Amazon just announced they're laying off thousands of people across the country. For example, my son works at UPS part-time while he's in college. They cut his hours and many of their hours, right? Let's start. Whoever had a car note is going to get their car repossessed. The housing market, foreclosure is going to happen. Bankruptcy is going to happen. There's nothing wrong with bankruptcy. Starting all over. Donald Trump, our president, our commander-in-chief, has filed bankruptcy multiple times under corporation names, right? So that's normal. Fresh start. But we have to understand Donald Trump, I've always said this, right? On paper, it looks good what he's trying to do. What I mean by that is, ladies and gentlemen, for it to look good on paper in reality, we would have to reset back into the late 80s, early 90s. What does that mean when I say that? The way things cost the average American to live. We would have to go back to those days for manufacturing jobs to come back in our country and for people to be able to work in these manufacturers. Other than that, you would have to put robots in these warehouses for it to work. The average American wants a very good hourly pay, lucrative, wants 401k, wants health insurance. All that's going to come from the consumer. When the product is being made, all that has to come into consideration and break it down per unit, per cost. It's a little too late for that, right? That's just the way it is.
So whether you believe it or not, I think recession is almost here, right? With every predictions, with everything people are saying and all that. Now, a lot of people have been complaining how shelves have been empty, right? Because of the tariff war that's happening between, both countries. And you guys know that if this whole thing, this whole tariff war continues the way it is, the shelf will continually be empty and people might end up not having enough. A lot of creators have been saying go stock up because of things are no longer coming from China the way it's supposed to, because lots of importers can no longer import goods from China because of all these things that we all know, which is the hike in tariff. If you're going to pay 145 percent extra for a goods that is coming from China. Probably bought this goods for $1 per each, and now you're going to be clearing them for 145 percent of the entire product that you bought. That's a lot of money. So when people calculate all of this, they'll be like, we're not importing anymore. There's no need even trying to import anything from China. So the best is to just leave the shelf. Whenever we run out of stock, we are out of stock. And that's why you have a lot of families who are already stocking up to, no matter how long it's going to take, let's just stock up and wait until when they have figured out exactly what's going to happen. So you want manufacturing companies to come back to the US. It doesn't take it takes a while. Okay, it doesn't take just passing a decree and you're expecting this thing to happen immediately. It takes a while. It's a gradual process. It's something that happens once you take a step further and all that. And guess who is going to suffer it? The people. They are the ones who are going to face all of these things and just watch themselves. And it's going to take a while. That's the truth. It's really going to take a while for these home manufacturing companies to really decide if they want to come back to the US or not. Okay, considering how everything is going to turn out, considering the cost of things, considering the cost of proximity to raw materials and all of that, all these things are what are going to encounter. And now companies are beginning to say, what, we're just going to lay off because we do not have enough stock to keep these people in position. Okay, lot and lot of companies are laying off their staff because of this. And now you also have the truck drivers experiencing this part where they have to tell everyone to speak English. Now, for some of them who cannot speak English, they're out of job. Okay, and that also adds to whatever, a lot of people in the US who might end up not having a job. And yes, it might just lead to recession with everything that's happening. How many of these truck drivers truly are Native Americans or citizens who speak fluent English? Some of them might just be migrants who came into the country and got work permits and all of that, and now they are expected to speak English. So it will take them a while for them to start learning English, for them to qualify to drive on the road. Now, if you don't speak English, you might end up not driving on the road or even doing all of this truck thing, right? But I don't know, what do you guys think about this, right? With this whole executive order today, every day you're hearing one executive order or the other. Like, it's just something to really look into and talk about, right? Does this particular executive order worth it in the first place? Truck drivers speaking English, is that what we add money in the hands of Americans? Please let me know what your thoughts are in the comments. Okay, and please do well to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Don't forget to give the video a thumbs up so that more people can see it. And thank you so much, guys, for watching. I look forward to seeing you all on my next video. Okay, see you on my next video. Thank you so much, guys. Bye.